Because if you are a potential buyer, maybe seller out there, the state of the housing market is a little bit baffling and could be frustrating. According to data out today, newly built homes are on the rebound, reaching their highest level since September of last year. But that's newly built homes. This data comes as buying a home, though, is getting costlier. According to one new study, you must now make at least $120,000 a year to afford a median-priced home in the United States. But wait, there's more. According to Redfin, nearly 40% of homeowners would not be able to afford their current home if they had to buy it today. Now, if you lived there 20 years, totally get that. But, recently, that's a little bit weird. So is the
more nails in the middle class coffin. You saw that right on the screen there. $120,000 just to qualify for a median home in the United States. That's where we're at. $10,000 a month. And that's not even a home of luxury. That's just a average home. Obviously, that is going to stretch more in certain parts of the country. But yeah, that's where we're at. It's just, the more I look at this, the more it just kind of, I get the sense that this is being, artificially controlled. And you just see, it's like they have the middle class in a vice and they just keep turning it. And there's just all of these fees. A lot of them, all over, but a lot of the fees that you see, associated with home, the cost of living, rent, mortgage, insurance, real estate taxes, everything. It just keeps going up and up. Meanwhile, our pay doesn't, we're still getting the 2.5%, percent jump each year for your, corporate job. Meanwhile, that you need $10,000 a month now just to qualify for a home. It's just, and you look at it like even before, so the market starts taking off, 2016 and on, and then 2020 hits. We're in this alleged, global pandemic, and the market just somehow keeps going up. And you keep hearing these so-called talking experts and, a correction's coming. Meanwhile, the rates keep going up, and which, now we're kind of like, we're in like this standoff situation where you have a bunch of people who might want to sell their homes, but they can't because, or they don't want to. I guess they could, but they call the golden handcuffs because where am I going? Where am I moving to? Well, I have a 2.5 rate. I've been here for 7 years. I don't want to go sell my home, move to somewhere else with a 7% interest rate. So you just kind of have this standoff. And, as the rates, if they just keep staying where they're at or going up, there's not going to be encouragement for people that maybe want to sell. So it's just this, and these things are a cycle. Well, what happens if it's not a cycle? What happens if this is it? What happens if this is part of a, the WEF and Klaus and all his minions? What happens if this is part of, their great reset that they've been talking about forever? Is this a segment of that, where the real estate or the chance to buy real estate is just gone for the average person out there, working class persons, just goes away. And that, that was one of the few things that a lot of just, average person out there who could acquire or potentially acquire wealth in their life is through real estate. And now if you can't even, buy a home now because you're only making 80 grand a year, which is just a crazy thing to say, and how quickly it's changed in just, the last 8-9 years. And I started to see like kind of other, real estate taxes, homeowners insurance going through the roof. So that's just more and more of your mortgage payment. So if for maybe somebody who doesn't have a mortgage and rents, they tie your mortgage payment every month. It includes your principal, your interest, your homeowners insurance premium, monthly stipend, whatever that is, your real estate, and the lender takes care of the payment, but that's all lumped into one. So if your real estate taxes and your homeowners insurance, which a lot of people are running into, if it just keeps going up, even though you're on a fixed rate mortgage, your payment's going to keep going up, possibly a couple $100 every year. And that's happening to a lot of people in certain parts, especially with homeowners insurance. And again, these homeowners insurance, these are billion-dollar companies. They don't give a fuck about, how much your premium went up. They don't care. And you can see a lot of these places, they're blaming it on, the climate and, if there's insurance companies that are leaving certain states, and I think you'll see these places start to consolidate, and then you're in a state and, well, it's, you have two companies to choose from. But here's a lady here who she had her homeowner's insurance just went through the roof.
My rate to go up by that much is just, I can't wrap my head around it. I don't understand why it's gone up so much.
Florida's property insurance crisis hits home with a head-spinning increase for this Bay Area teacher.
Am I the only one with an 80% increase? Are there other people in my, in the same boat as I am? And what can be done about this?
Tonight, 8 on Your Side investigator Masa Saidi is looking for those answers as lawmakers hold a special session this week to fix the insurance crisis.
68.
Good evening, I'm Keith Cates.
Yeah, crazy. And I saw other people in, different states in Northern California. I saw a bunch of people complaining their premiums from like 2022 to 2023 went through the roof. And he was pressing, the homeowners insurance, what's going on? Oh, it's fire. They can make anything up is my point. Fire, wind, rain, whatever. They're just going to keep jacking up the prices because it coincides with the climate drum they've been beating for, the last 20 years. So, it's just in the same thing with property taxes. And when these things go up, they rarely come back down.
Wasn't expecting in her property tax bill?
Yeah, her property taxes climbed well above 100%, and now she's been priced out of her home. And we also spoke to an attorney who says there's a specific reason buyers are facing this challenge more often, especially over the last few years. The perils of property taxes taking a toll on Tamara Ransom. She bought her Winter Haven home last May, but less than a year later, it's on the market after receiving an unwelcome surprise.
I felt like I'd been baited and switched. When you buy a house, I see the taxes at $2,700. I expect it'll vary a little bit, a few hundred, $1,000, but in no way did I expect it would go up 174%.
Many new homeowners faced this sticker shock when they received their trim notices with their new assessed home value. Those bills were due at the end of March. You have been doing what you can to try to make this work.
It's very upsetting because I put most of my savings into the house, the down payment and the things, alarm systems and things like that. And I'm losing all of that because I have to sell the house and I'm not going to get really anything back. And then I have to look for a new house.
This is definitely a buyer beware type of a situation.
Michael Finn is an attorney based in St. Petersburg.
Values have soared in Florida, particularly anywhere near the water. And somebody that bought a house 5 years ago may realize a value increase of 2 to 3 times. You can dispute it, but you're not going to win a significant decrease because the property assessor's office is very skilled at their valuations.
Very skilled. Yeah, I bet they are. But yeah, they just, you see this where everybody's rates, and then you take into account like water bills are going up. That you got to pay for the Poison City water. Who knows what the hell's in that shit? And it just keeps going up and up. And I don't know. I hope I'm wrong, but I get the sense that this stuff is not coming back down. And this is, they've been, programming us over the last probably 5-6 years. All this stuff they've been pushing. So we don't even, no, don't buy private property. You don't want that. Go ahead and look at these tiny homes and these van life and RVs and all this stuff. And that's cool and all. But I mean, at some point, is this what you want for $100,000? I think this is out in Vegas. And you see a lot of these, they're building these communities out there. I mean, look at this stuff.
That's $100,000, right? Are you telling me that these fucking things are $100,000? What the? You're fucking kidding me. You've got to be fucking kidding me.
Crazy. I mean, that's... Yeah, your yard is as wide as that driveway there. I mean, I guess it's better than, I'd rather live in that than an apartment. But I mean, I think if the 3-bedroom, 2,000 square foot home, like that could be gone. Like that's just a pipe dream unless you have a shitload of money. But even if you have the $10,000 a month, I mean, do you really want to be stretched that thin? So maybe you do start looking into other options. But, you see all those reports about BlackRock and stuff buying up all the real estate, and they own like them and Vanguard 45% of the rental market. And yeah, it's a great way for them to, control the rents. And, you look at somebody like this guy, Larry Fink. I mean, the World Economic Forum backdrop there. I mean, this guy doesn't give a shit about any of us. I mean, he's looking to control all of the rent market, I'm sure, so they can dictate the rental prices. And those prices aren't going to come back down. I mean, Larry and his cronies here, this guy, they're the guys that are printing the money. So they don't really, they're not, does he look like a guy that's going to care if you're, a month late on your rent? Do you think he gives a fuck? He doesn't. He's going to cut no breaks. That's not what Larry and those of his ilk do. And, all of this, and I don't, it does look like, when you really take a step back and look at all this end goal, where's all this going? Like, it's kind of hard to ignore the, when you've heard, I mean, the documents are out there when you look at stuff like UN Agenda 2030. I mean, in their own words, if you go through the documents, and I don't know when exactly, if it's in 2030, who knows, but if you go look at those documents, I mean, they clearly indicate a desire. And again, they use fancy language and stuff like that, or, trying to paint one picture. But, their goal is to get people off the privately owned land and huddled into these, I forget what they call them in the documentation, but basically these 15-minute cities, these smart cities, that they started plugging like a year ago, where you can ride your bike to everything there. But that's not a place that you want to be. But, it's hard to discount that UN Agenda 2030 when you start looking at all of these things happening at once. All of these prices keep going up, all of them. And, you get one of Klaus's minions in her favorite quote, I hope I'm wrong, but it certainly seems like we may be headed in that direction, where they just make real estate or buying a home and owning a home something of the past. And that really sucks, because, then you like she said, you have no privacy and you love it. Well, I don't want that world. That world sucks. I don't want to be living in a smart city with, technology watching my every single move, and I have 5G towers outside of my window and drones delivering everything and eating, lab grown meat and all that. I'm good, man. I want nothing to do with any of that, and I'm sure most people don't. But unfortunately, most people aren't aware of kind of a lot of these, really nefarious agendas that seem to be going on. And a lot of people will kind of walk right into it because they're not going to tell you what the true intention is, right? That's not how they operate. They will, it's all deception. It's all concealment, sleight of hand. They're going to dress it up so it sounds great and you're doing an amazing thing for nature and the climate, and you don't want to own, it's always dressed up as something. But the true meaning is much different. And, just look at someone like Klaus and Larry, those guys, they look like they're out of central casting. Anyway, thanks for listening. Appreciate it.